Let me guess. It's 11 p.m. and you have it all figured out. You've mentally spent the money. You've designed the business. And you feel this rush of excitement. You are absolutely certain that tomorrow is the day everything changes. But then you wake up, and that motivation, it's gone. You stare at the work you need to do to actually get that money, and you feel resistance. Heavy physical resistance. If that sounds familiar, this video is going to feel a little too accurate. Here's what most people believe. They think they're lazy. They think they lack discipline. They think there is a character flaw deep inside them that prevents them from being successful. But here's the thing. You aren't lazy. You're fighting a biological hardware issue. You are suffering from two very specific neurological glitches, the dopamine gap and cognitive depletion. Today, we aren't just talking about getting motivated. We are going to pop the hood on your brain and fix the wiring that makes ambition feel good, but action feel impossible. My name is Brian, and I spend way too much time thinking about why we can visualize a millionaire lifestyle so clearly, but struggle to do 30 minutes of focused work to get there. Because today we're talking about the neuroscience of the lazy but ambitious paradox. Most people try to fix this with software updates. They read productivity books, they buy planners, they watch motivational videos. But if the hardware, your actual neurochemistry, is mismanaging energy, no app is going to save you. We're going to break down why your brain rewards you for dreaming, but punishes you for doing. And more importantly, how to override that default setting so you can actually cross the up between the money you want and the work required to get it. If you've ever felt paralyzed by your own ambition, make sure to hit the subscribe button, because understanding why your brain resists work is the first step to tricking it into liking it. This is where it gets really interesting. You probably think dopamine is a reward chemical. You think you get it after you achieve the goal. But behavioral finance and neuroscience explain this perfectly. Dopamine is not about satisfaction. It's about anticipation. When you lie in bed imagining your future financial freedom, your brain releases dopamine right then and there. Your brain is an ancient survival machine. It struggles to tell the difference between a vivid visualization and reality. When you construct a perfect plan to make $10,000, your brain gives you the chemical reward for making the money before you've actually sent a single email or sold a single product. I call this the dopamine gap. You have effectively cashed out your motivation early. Got the high for free? So when you sit down the next morning to do the boring, difficult, unsexy work, your brain is confused. It says, wait, didn't we already win? Why should I spend expensive energy on this spreadsheet when I already felt the victory last night? This is a biological trap. You've hallucinatized you to conserve energy. Your brain thinks the goal is already achieved because you visualized it so hard. It pulls the plug on your motivation to save calories. Right? The mistake people make is expecting the execution to feel as good as the planning. It never will. Planning is a dopamine release. Execution is a dopamine cost. You aren't losing interest because you're weak. You're losing interest because your brain has already celebrated the victory without you. Now, let's layer on the second problem. The dopamine gap is why you don't start. Cognitive depletion is why you quit. Psychologists distinguish between two modes of thinking, System 1 and System 2. System 1 is fast, automatic, and cheap. It's what you use to scroll TikTok, brush your teeth, or daydream. It uses almost no energy. System 2 is slow, deliberate, and expensive. It's what you eat to learn a new skill, budget your finances, or focus on deep work. Here's what most people don't realize. System 2 runs on a battery, a very small battery. Every decision you make drains this battery. It's called decision fatigue or ego depletion. If you are lazy but ambitious, you likely spend your entire morning in your head. You worry about the future. You debate which business model to start. You stress about whether you're behind in life. By the time you actually sit down to do the work, you are biologically exhausted. Your muscles aren't tired, but your executive function is running on fumes. When your cognitive battery is low, your brain defaults to System 1 to save power. It forces you to do the easy thing. It forces you to open social media. It forces you to procrastinate. Right? It's not that you don't want to work, it's that you have cognitively bankrupted yourself before the workday even started. You were trying to run a marathon with a sprained ankle. So we have a brain that steals our dopamine early and a battery that drains too fast. Is it hopeless? No, but you have to stop fighting your biology and start hacking it. Here's exactly what to do if you feel stuck in this loop right now. First, stop visualizing the end goal. Seriously, stop imagining the mansion. It's killing your drive. Instead, you need to shorten your feedback loop. You need to attach dopamine to the process, not the result. If you have a big financial goal, break it down until it's laughable. Don't try to build a business today. Try to draft 3 emails. When you finish those 3, check a box. The check mark gives you a tiny hit of real dopamine based on real action. This rewires your brain to associate the work, not the dream, with the reward. Second, protect your system to energy like it's your life savings. Every morning you wake up with a limited amount of willpower. Don't spend it deciding what to do. The most successful people financially are often the most boring in their routines. They wear the same clothes, eat the same breakfast, and work at the same time. Why? Because they aren't wasting cognitive energy on trivial decisions. They save their full battery for the money-making activities. If you have to ask yourself, what should I do today? At 9 a.m., you've already lost. And finally, this is the hardest one. You have to reframe boredom. The dopamine gap makes real work feel flat and boring compared to the excitement of the dream. You need to realize that boredom isn't a signal that something is wrong. Boredom is the signal that you are in system 2. It's the signal that you are actually building value. Rich people are good at being bored. They are good at doing the same repetitive, unsexy tasks for years. Most people don't fail financially because they lack potential. Fail because they lose momentum at the exact moment the dopamine wears off. I think the drop in excitement is a sign to stop. But now you know it's just biology. It's just your hardware trying to save energy. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't crossing demotivation. It's crossed by doing the work when your brain is screaming at you that it's boring. If this video helped you understand why your brain fights your ambition, hit the like button. It helps more than you think. Subscribe for more real-world breakdowns of how money and psychology actually mix. And comment below. Do you struggle more with the dopamine gap starting or cognitive depletion keeping going? I want to know. I'm Brian. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.